Good morning, everybody. My name is Alison Kent, and I am on the board of Yolo Audubon Society. And oh my God, I don't know where you're all from, but here in Davis, it's a gorgeous day today, and I want to make sure we have plenty of time outside. Okay, I have somebody. So yeah, if you want to just pop in the chat where you are, London, Ontario, and I see Laura is joining us from Salem, Massachusetts. Where are other people sitting? Davis, excellent. Yeah. Gorgeous day here, here in Davis. This is really, oh, Orange County, very cool. Thank you for joining us. This is great. Right, so what I would really love to do today, if you are, oh gosh, Northern Virginia, this is getting cool. Okay, what I would love to do today, if this is all right with most of you, is get us outside as soon as possible, because here in Davis, we are in full swing with spring migration. And there's a lot going on out there. The foliage has just burst open. And so what I would love to do is this. I know that there are several people here who are joining us for the first time. And what I'd like to do is encourage those folks or whoever else would like to stay behind for a quick introduction about this. But if you have been here before and you know the drill and you'd like to get outside, I'm going to invite you to do that right away, because we will reconvene here at this same link, and I'm not going to turn it off. I'm going to pause recording, but I won't turn it off at, let's say, 11 o'clock Pacific time, which is in 2 hours. Okay, so anybody who wants to get outside and go and see what's going on, great. Otherwise, I'm going to go through a quick introduction to what nature journaling is. And then I'll encourage all of us to go outside and draw. So nature journaling is a practice where you go and sit in nature somewhere, and nature, very broadly defined, is somewhere where you can see and hear what's going on around you, and you record it either in drawings or in writing, or in most cases it's kind of a combination of both. And what I like to do is record the date, the time that I go out, the time I'm done, what the weather is there any wind? And right now there's a slight breeze in Davis, it's quite warm. What's the temperature? Is it overcast? Is it sunny? That kind of thing. And then I actually note down most species that I can identify. And with birds, that's a lot easier for me than plants, but I'm working on the plants part. I have a kit, a go kit. This is my nature journaling backpack, and it's always by the door and ready to go. And in it, I have a pair of binoculars, I have a hat, I have my pens and pencils, I have a watercolor set, and among my pens and pencils, I have water brushes, which I have a little reservoir with water in, so I can use my watercolors straight from there. I bring along a few colored pencils, especially a white pencil for highlights. And I do like to work in pen. I use a fountain pen with waterproof ink, but you're very welcome to use pencil or whatever you would like. I also have my nature journal, which is, for me, this is a good size. It fits in my backpack. It's not too big. It's also not too small. So on a page, I can get quite a lot of detail, but if you work small, you can work faster. And this is something that I've discovered over time. But there's a lot of room on the page for you to write additional things. And this was, the Swainson's hawks have come back into the Central Valley here. And so I was watching this pair. This is, God, not quite sure what size this is. Wow, I've got a pin thing right here. This is like 10 by 7.5 or 8, 10 by 8. That's that sort of size. But this stuff is very personal. And you may have to experiment to see what is a good size for you. I mean, I would say that as with what's the best camera? It's the one you have with you. What is the best notebook is the one that you have with you. So what is really interesting to do with this stuff is to just find something that is catching your interest, and then what you notice about it. And what I found is that by looking harder and looking closely and listening and noticing behavior that we might not have noticed before, this is how we learn. And so I'm very eager to get us all outside. I know there's a lot of people here, and I would just like to know, kind of, let's see if I'm looking at the chat here. Do people need more detail than this to go outside and get started, or are we ready to go? Because it is just such a fabulous day. I'd love to get us outside. And feel free to unmute yourselves and chime in, because I don't want to shortchange anyone, but would love you to come outside if you are up for that. Yes, please, more info. Okay, so so the idea here is to capture what you can. And I'm going to talk about birds for a second, because that's my particular interest, and this is an Audubon trip. And I'm going to share my screen, if that is okay, right here. So I quickly did this morning. This is a white-crowned sparrow. And why does it matter that we have these labels? And the reason that this is important is that birds are generally, their colors and their characteristics, the things that make us able to identify them, tend to fall. They can divide up by color in these different sections. And, you know, there are obviously a lot more labels I could have put on here, but if you see that, you know, this is a very prominent eye stripe in the white-crowned sparrow, and there's a white crown, instantly that is telling us, oh, right, this is a white-crowned sparrow, without looking at the detail in the other sections. And so, although, you know, this may be a way overkill for detail, it is really fun to be able to try and say, okay, this section in the, let's see, right here, the mantle, often that's a different color in birds, and often this section here is as well. And if you can remember that and get that somehow in your drawing, or just even label it like I have here, that if it's a bird that you don't recognize, that's a great way to give yourself enough notes that you can come home and look it up. I'm going to stop sharing now. And one of the things that is so great about living when we do is that we all have a phone in our pocket. And on this phone, we have a camera, and usually it's actually pretty good. Even if it's far away, you can often use it to help you identify stuff after the fact. So use your phone. There are also naturalist apps that you can get. I love iNaturalist. Also, there are bird field guides that you can get that fit on your phone. So what I do is I go outside and sit somewhere for about 15 minutes and try and get a handle on what is going on there. And I'm very, what it does is it takes you out of your head and back into the natural world, which, you know, in this year it's something that we've all needed to be doing, and just get outside. So can you all chime in, please, if you have questions or would like to have a bit more clarification? Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on in the chat. Okay, but this is a kind of a side conversation. Do people have questions? Okay, I'm hearing now. I don't know. Okay, well, are people ready to go outside? Sure. Okay. All right. So we will convene here at 10:30 Pacific time, which is in an hour and 3/4. So just come back here. I'm going to leave I'm going to leave this Zoom room open so you can come back whenever you like, but I'm going to pause the recording. Okay. So it is now, no, it's now 9:15. Sorry, did I say 11, Sherry? Thank you. Yeah, 11 o'clock. I beg your pardon. So an hour and 45 minutes from now. Beg your pardon. Okay, yes. So back here at 11 Pacific. And you East Coasters, if you can make it, great. And if you can't make it back, it is all right. But it would be fantastic if you could send me what you had done, so I can get a sense. And I'm going to put my email in the chat here if you'd like to send it back. Magpienest.org.
Yeah, well,
so
we go.
Okay, hello. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to pause the recording, and we will see you back here at 11 in an hour and 45 minutes. Okay, thanks everyone. Right there. Poof. Hey folks, how'd it go? Oh, I almost didn't make it back in time. Woof.
It's amazing how quickly the time goes when you're doing this, huh?
I know.
It was quite breezy today.
Yes, it was breezier than I thought. Yeah. Okay.
So migration is in full swing, huh, Alison?
Well, actually, I didn't hear or see any migrating warblers, which I was sort of surprised by, but there was a ton of action. There were the white-throated swifts are coming through, and they were all congregating around the pond at the Arboretum
nice.
with the tree swallows, and I even saw a violet green swallow, so that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And what else? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I nearly got mugged by a wild turkey, but that's not unusual. Yeah. I'll write that one down. That was, so I went out on my bike, and yeah, he just ran into the road.
Very nice.
You know, as they do. Okay. Okay. Well, maybe I know that there are a couple of people who are not going to be able to make it back for the next bit of this. So we're just going to jump in. And I would love to ask you all, was there one thing that you noticed that you had not noticed before?
Well, I can jump in. So what I noticed, I first noticed last year on this very day. It was a Facebook memory. And what it is these two tiny little plants that grow in the crevices of some of the rock walls in my neighborhood.
Mhm.
I never really noticed them before. And I took a quick walk this morning, and of course they're there again. So that was pretty cool. So it was something I noticed last year, and now I look for every year.
Well, that's great. Yeah. Anybody else notice something that they hadn't noticed before?
I noticed little tree parts fallen on the ground, especially things like this pine, yeah, some kind of pine. I'd never noticed all these little tree parts.
Mhm. Yeah, I rode my bike over to the Arboretum, and I guess a big redwood had fallen down in the last storm right outside Marac Hall. And so what they're going to do is that they've cut it down to about, I would say 4 foot tall. And they're going to take the whole tree stump over to the Redwood Grove as part of an educational, because what you really do see is the very, very shallow root structure of a redwood. And it's right there. It was like, okay, yeah, that was fun. Okay, somebody else, did you notice something that you had never noticed before? I'm hearing somebody scrub jay. I think it might be yours, Sherry.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay. You don't need to mute it. So let's see. Yeah. So would anybody like to share what they drew or what they saw or what they heard? Okay, go ahead, Sherry.
I've just kind of taken up nature drawing and nature journaling in the last 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
I always had this feeling that I couldn't draw and decided that I should try to get rid of that idea and try it. I've really been enjoying it. So I've been trying to look more closely at things that maybe I have seen before. So I ended up, I live in Village Homes, and my common area, we've worked a lot to make it lots of pretty flowers and drought tolerant things. So I decided just to stay here and enjoy it.
Okay, good.
And so one of the things I drew, I don't know if you can see.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
It's a carpenter bee. I've got salvias that we planted out there.
Yeah, very cool.
And they are nectar robbers.
Yes.
So they got to see it in action.
Yeah.
It's too big to get into the flowers. So anyway, that's what I was trying to draw. And then I have a bird bath, and I got some magpies that have a nest in a tree just across the street from where I live. So I tried to draw the magpie in the bird bath.
Yeah, that's great. That's very clearly a magpie.
Sweet.
So I'm just trying to learn how to get like the sizing
Cool.
right, and your drawings were so beautiful for what you did this morning. So I'm just a newbie, but I'm enjoying it. I've used John Muir Law's book to kind of help give me some inspiration.
A wonderful, wonderful book, wonderful resource. He also runs a nature journaling workshop every Tuesday and Thursday at noon, and those are free. You know, there's a suggested donation. You know, he's trying to support his family in a pandemic, which is very difficult, but you can learn so much from this, and it's just drop in as you want to.
teacher, and so far the timing has, I tried to do one, but my class ended, I think our schedule is slightly different now, though I think I can do it because we're reconfiguring things. So I thank you for reminding me again, that's a possibility now.
Highly recommended. Yeah.
Thanks.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing, Sherry. Does anybody else want to share what they did, what they found, what they saw?
I was a passenger in a car the other day, about 2 weeks ago. And normally I would notice the hawk flying by. But this time I noticed he was coming in for a landing, so his wings were spread. And I saw the underside of the wings. And I've been trying to identify him, but when you look at hawks, you don't always see the underside. But he had beautiful brown and kind of a gold and white, or off-white really, and then brown again around the edges. And it was just gorgeous. I really appreciated seeing that as we drove by.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. So the Swainson's hawks are in and they are now nesting. So from your description, it sounds like that you saw, but can't quite be sure. But yeah, I definitely saw Swainson's hawks up in the air today. Right. Laura, did you want to share?
Sure, I can. So these are the two little plants that are growing in the rock wall. This one here is henbit.
Okay.
This one here is spring whitlow grass.
Okay, and these are East Coast natives. Do you?
Yes, I think they are. Yep.
Great. Okay, cool.
And the thing about plants is they don't move, so they're a little easier to sketch.
I know. Yeah, I drew some plants too.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else? Kelly, go ahead.
Okay, so I just went out into my garden and I don't know if you can see so well.
Oh, lavender, Spanish lavender. Yep.
Yeah, Spanish lavender, Jerusalem sage, and calla lily. And then I just came back inside and was starting to color in the sketch. So
great. Yeah. Excellent. Right. Anybody else?
Well, I have a question.
Sure. Go ahead, Sharon.
A friend of mine bought me a set of brush pens.
Oh, good.
I've never used before. So I tried them today. And what I drew that
very nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Tree that fell. And what I figured was that they're good for putting in color, but they're not really good for the sketching part. So I thought I have to sketch first and then put the color in later. And there's no green. There's blues and there's oranges and yellows, but there's no green in the set. So I wondered if that's
blue and yellow make.
Well, I tried to do that, but they didn't seem to do that on the page.
Okay, so actually this is really good. So I'm actually going to show you my page because I was able to do some sketching there. And what I was finding, I didn't have my actual brushes with me. I only had my water brushes. And so this green around the two mallards here, well, this is a mallard hybrid. At the Arboretum, most of the mallards are actually hybrids. They're not true mallards. But so what I did is I actually laid in some yellow around the mallards. And then I went in with a phthalo blue over the top, and that kind of mixed it on the page. But if you have a little palette to mix it in before you get it on the page with your water brush, that might help. I also did some plants. I did some Fremontia, which really is in bloom. And I did a pair of cormorants, double-crested cormorants that are out on the western pond of the Arboretum. And this Swainson's hawk male was soaring around, and there were several. But what I really noticed was that over the pond, there were white-throated swifts and tree swallows sharing the air. And it was really interesting. I mean, I guess it's pretty windy, but I guess there's enough insects for them to be running after. So yeah, that was cool. Oh, and one thing I did notice, I forgot to say, that I have never seen before was golden crowned sparrow chasing insects. No, these are seed eaters, and they've been with us all winter, and they are, they forage around all winter. But this one was active, like it went after a moth and it went after a crane fly. The crane fly is apparently about to hatch. And yeah, it was, wow, okay. So I guess they're tanking up on protein to start breeding. So yeah, that was interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
Okay.
was it? The what swift?
Oh, white-throated
Throated.
swifts. So they actually nest at the water tower, the UC Davis water tower at the Arboretum, and they also nest under the bridge over Old Davis Road, but they are mostly migrating. So they like to nest in cliffs and up in the Sierra. So we're lucky to have them here, but they are definitely coming through in numbers at the moment. So watch out for them. They have a very high twittering sound. So when they're flying around together in pairs, they twitter to each other very animatedly. So if you go outside and you hear that, look up, because that's what they might be. Okay. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to ask or share? Or I'm sorry, I got us all out very early today because it just seemed like a great day to go outside and have a bit more time outside. And sometimes we're a bit short of time when we do these things. But I hope, thank you all for being good sports and bearing with me. But I'm very happy to stay on after and answer questions or elaborate further if people would like.
I can hear a pheasant out in our back field. They're not supposed to build back there, and the grass has grown quite tall. Do you have suggestions of how to view the pheasant?
Where do you live, Beth?
Out in Northwest Davis, out in Stonegate, Northwest.
Okay. All right. Yeah, the pheasants are they like the tall grass, and that's going to be where they try and nest if they're going to nest. My recommendation is just to get a what they'll do is they'll come out. So how close are you to the North Davis ditch?
It's
Or if you're walking around wherever that area is where the grass is taller, if there's a pathway there, I would just get a chair and sit yourself down and hang out, because they will come onto that path. It's easier for them to get around.
okay.
Yeah.
That's helpful. Thank you. I'll give that a try.
Yeah, I mean the females should be nesting already, so you probably won't see a female. But
Well, I thought I saw a glimpse of the red at the eye, but it was well hidden in the grass. And so I just like to view, they're so gorgeous.
yeah.
So I hope to view them.
Could
Yeah.
I ask Beth what street she lives on? Because I sometimes walk in that area.
I'm over in the Oyster Bay, Astoria part.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we see hawks out there often.
Yes, yes. But it's the pheasant that I hope to see. You can hear it, but it's well hidden.
Yeah. Okay, folks. Well, if there are any other questions, please let me know. But otherwise, I do thank you for coming along today. This has been really fun. Same place next month. So that will be May. I don't even know. It's so hard to keep track of even what month it is these days.
Yeah.
And, the weeks have been going by pretty quick. It seems like, it was just not that long ago that we all got together.
I know. So it would be the 9th of May, Sunday, the 9th of May at 9 o'clock. Okay, and where Laura lives, that is peak migration. I expect you to be out and about. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going to be here, fantastic, but yeah.
No, probably, thank you for that, Allison. And unless it's raining, that'll probably be the case, so.
Okay, yeah, all right. Okay, well, thank you all so much, and see you next time.
Thank you,
Okay.
Allison.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sherry. Yeah, so Sherry, you're a teacher. What do you teach?
I'm a teacher at Davis High School. So I teach a class called Zoology and Botany and Chemistry in the Community.
Wow, okay.
So
Yeah, so this is something that you can use for your teaching, I think.
yeah,
Hope so.
I've always just kind of, I had an art class in junior high that the art teacher was really into modern kind of art at the time, and I wasn't, and he ended up giving me a D in the class, which is pretty crazy to give somebody who's participating. As a teacher now, I think, what? Just because he didn't like my style. And so it just kind of gave me the message to not try. And so finally, after all these years, I've decided to give it a try.
It's astonishing that the effect that can have on people. And we all had those people. We had our peers. Teachers are particularly a problem because it's a figure of authority that isn't our parents. So we you know, when we're young, we look to them as somewhat objective. And oh my God, yeah, now I could wring their necks.
Yeah.
Awful.
My daughter's been trying to convince me for a number of years to give it a try. And so finally I have, and I'm really
yeah. And it's don't be afraid to use photographs to get you on your way. Don't be afraid to use video. Video is actually really great because you can slow it down. And so for an animal that's moving, you can actually see, okay, well, how is it, what's actually happening, what's happening with the wings, yeah, so you can really slow stuff down. So that really helps. And the thing with this is it's like everything else. If you do a little bit every day, it's much better than doing a marathon session once a week. So yeah, just a little bit of 5 minutes is enough. Just a little bit. And just draw your teacup, draw your breakfast. It doesn't have to be nature.
Well, that's
but no, nature's good too. It'd be good to do that. Yeah.
Well, I did take a picture today when I walked out into my garden. I saw the carpenter bee and I took a picture of it and then kind of cropped it so that I have a chance to really look more closely at it and try to experiment with colored pencils. But I visited my daughter over spring break and we tried to do, we had some fun doing water painting, watercolor painting together. And that was really fun, but that's definitely a whole nother.
Yeah. And it is tricky, but I think the thing to do is just start out by using watercolor to color in your drawing. And then you can progress. Watercolor is very difficult, but don't be afraid of it. And it's what's so wonderful about it is very portable. And it is you can get some wonderful results just from doing a little bit of experimenting like them in there. So yeah. Well, gosh, good luck. And thank you for joining us. This has been really nice. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Take care. Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.